I'm joined today by Darren Whiley. So Darren is the Managing Director of Eaves Associates. Welcome, Darren.
Good afternoon. Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, and you. So Darren, kick off. Just tell us a little bit about Eaves Associates, your business.
Yeah, okay. We've got quite an unusual business model where basically we work in three key ways predominantly. The first way is we invent something which is ours. We get the necessary protection on this. Then we partner up with companies going forwards, and we support the companies with the product right through to sales, specification, etc. The second way we work, it's partly our idea, partly somebody else's. We collaborate, we bring the idea to perfection, and then once this is done, then we go out to the marketplace. The third way we work is when it's completely somebody else's idea, invention, and they need a hand with it. And it could be anything from patenting, getting IP rights, registering a design, even helping find companies to produce for them. So we're basically that bit between the product and production and more besides, really.
Right. So how did that come about, Darren?
Well, back in the day, in 1996, I invented the first thing. My first invention was 1996, where I did the mountain bike lubricants and cleaners. I actually had a day job, and I'm into mountain bike, and I could see a gap in the market. And we were the first company to get the 5-star gold award on all 5 products, and it really grew from there. I sold that business. That was Finesse Products. I sold that business in 2005. And then went into the built environment, developing products there for a 10-year stint. And then back here we are again, where I belong.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Brilliant. That sounds an amazing business. Lots of variety, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm in the do quite a lot in the automotive game, quite a lot in the built environment, a lot in the chemical industry. So yeah, and there is a surprising amount of crossover between industries as well, which is what we do. We do a lot of networking as well, which obviously bringing companies together as well, which is another good thing we do.
Yeah. So what you mentioned a few sectors there. What are the types of customers are you dealing with?
Well, basically, the type of client we want is a company that can see ahead, that's got good visuals, a good visionary, and also a company that's got issues and solutions that need to be provided. So typically speaking, we will work with a company through their pain, if you will, and we'll find out where their challenges are and what there is. I've just had a phone call with a company today who've got they are manufacturing a particular product, and they've got a chemical in there which is going to be ruled out. So we're helping them develop another product which is a biodegradable version of what they've got. So that's exactly, a lot of the time it is that sort of thing.
Yeah, right. Wow. And are there many organizations like yours out there?
No, there isn't really. I've come across one in Holland. There's a company in Holland that's got a very similar business model to myself. There are a lot of companies that will help you with innovation, that sort of thing, but they don't go all the way through from IP rights, design, and then all the way through to production. And we've also started now offering sales backup into specification, not sales per se, but into specification, that sort of thing, as an extra service since last August, which has been good. So we go right from the start to the finish, really, and that's just for our clients. We wouldn't just offer that for anybody, just to whoever's on board with us.
So you really do have a pretty unique offering then,
Yeah,
a niche in the market.
Yeah, it is. I had a vision of this years ago, and I wish I'd done it years ago, really, but it just wasn't to be. I wasn't financially able for it years ago. So, but basically, yeah, it is a completely different business model. But if you do the same as everybody else does, you get the same as what everybody else has got.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Let's look at the pandemic that happened fairly recently. Still had big impact on lots of businesses. What was it like for you?
It was both good and bad. The bad bit was a whole load of the projects I was working on got put on hold, and that proved to be quite a challenge. The good thing was it did open a few doors in other areas of the market, which I'm still working on as well. But overall, we survived it, which is great. But it was hard work.
Yeah. Did you have to bring any changes about as a result of those times? And if so, how have they manifested themselves into current
Yeah.
day?
Well, I have had some changes, and some of them have been forced to have because I had some clients go under, which meant that we had to really thin everything down. We had to really cut back on everything. And the worst thing was one of my clients, I'd interconnected those in with the other of my clients, which I do a lot of. And all of a sudden, there was a big void being created. But in the pandemic, to try and reach out to other companies was really hard work. So that was a real challenge. And the company that went under, that I'm meaning, borrowed a load of money just before the pandemic. Couldn't have done it at a worse time. Got a load of new equipment, had a full order book, and then all the orders got postponed, and it just created a massive cash crisis in the company. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it didn't survive. So it's a real shame because it was a great company. It was a real good one for me. But yeah.
Right. So that's a bit about the past. What's the future look like? What sort of challenges have you got ahead?
Yeah, the future is interesting. I've got more projects now than I've ever had. I'm running 32 different projects at the minute, which is definitely the most I've ever had. The good things are there are good market sectors opening up through sustainability and that sort of thing. The challenges are things just aren't happening fast enough. But that's the world of R&D for you, really. But yeah, looking ahead, yeah, great. It's just getting over that gap of getting the products ready for production and then starting to get sales in.
Yeah, good times ahead. Fantastic. Along your journey, then, what have you learned?
Along my journey, man alive, what have I learned? An awful lot. Yeah, no, I've learned a lot. Trust is over and above all, I would think, with anybody, and especially with what we're doing. Everything's under NDA, as you can probably imagine.
Yeah.
Helping companies getting patents on products. There's a lot of trust, and what I've found is not everybody is trustworthy. I've had some good things and some bad things happen on that front, but honesty always pays. I suppose there's the other thing what I've learned is as well is that companies out there are striving to get that bit ahead of everybody else. You do get other companies that are quite lazy and laid back, and invariably they're the ones that are suffering, especially when a pandemic comes along or something like that to really test the water. And then currently with all what's going on at the moment with Ukraine and everything else. So we are under a lot of pressure, every bit as much pressure, I think, as in the pandemic. A lot of people think the pandemic's over, right, let's go. But COVID's still around. And then we've obviously got the energy crisis. We've got what's going on in Ukraine. So we really are going through it thick and thin.
Yeah. Final question then. If you, with the benefit of hindsight, knowing what you now know, what might you have done differently?
I think what I would have done differently is probably have, how should I put this? I don't want it to sound wrong, this, but I would have walked before I ran. Before the pandemic, I was running a lot of things because you got to remember, in the world of innovation, it's spend before it starts making you money. And I had a lot of projects out there, and that was pretty crippling. We survived it, but it was worrying. And I think hindsight's a wonderful thing. I probably would have started slower, got more traction, I suppose, at a slower pace, and then grown from there.
Sensible advice. Thank you very much, Darren.
No worries.